What's up, YouTube? Welcome to 2023. Today we're going to try to replace the carburetor on our 1981 CJ7 here behind me. The original owner, the previous owner, told me that the carb had never really been rebuilt or messed with, and so I thought that I would rebuild the carb, but then there's some pretty good options that I've seen online as far as just replacing it. So I've got this $100 carburetor that I'm going to try to replace. So let's see how it goes. All right, so we have our 4.2 liter inline six Jeep engine. This is the original engine as far as I know. Carburetor here is original as best I know as well. So to get to this, we got to take this airbox off. So let's start with that first. All right, I've got the airbox off. So here's our carburetor. One of the things I'm going to be doing is taking pictures to make sure I see where all these vacuum hoses go. So we have a couple of hoses here that go to this, looks like almost like a runoff here. Fuel line goes into here in the front. We have this goes to the PVC valve, which tracks to the front here of the valve cover gasket. This is another blank, looks like. I've got a couple of wires here, and looks like this hose goes in the top there. So I'm going to take pictures of all this. You can see how dirty this carb is, and then it's attached. There's 4 bolts here. It's also attached at the here for the throttle. So I'm gonna take a bunch of pictures and we can start taking apart some of this stuff. All right, on the left here is our original carburetor. On the right is our new one, which, let's see if I can get you the name on this thing. It's like Max Spring or something. I think it's Chinese based or something, I don't know, but had some decent reviews on Amazon. It was $100. And they actually look pretty similar. The only thing it's missing on this one has is this right here, which I think is related to the choke, but I'm not sure. This looks like it has a mechanical choke. This might be the electric choke. I don't know if that's gonna really mess us up or not. Probably is. Everything else looks better. Let's take a look underneath the original carburetor. You can see a lot of deposits there on the primary there. This is a gasket that's stuck. And we're gonna put a new one on. Here's our new one. It looks nice and shiny. Let's go up here to the car. It's actually pretty easy to take out. 4 bolts. We're gonna stick our, gonna grease up our gasket, put it on here, stick this thing on here, try to reconnect it, and see what we can get. $1 million. All right, so here is our newly installed carburetor. Looks like $1 million. No clue if this thing's gonna run. I really question it if it will. Put all the vacuum hoses back to where they belong. Fuel lines back in here. I did notice quite a bit of play in the throttle linkage down here. So sort of down below where this connects is a bit of an issue. So may have to get that addressed. But everything is back to where it needs to be. I do need to plug up this right here. But we're gonna try to start it and see what happens. So not really, honestly, not expecting this to start, to be real honest. But let's see if we can get it going. We're gonna try to see if we can get some gas in this thing. Looks like it's working over there. And I have no seats in the car either, so let's see what happens. Yeah, the car hasn't started in a few weeks, so a lot of times we have to try this a few times if we can get it to run. All right, looks like I need to check this out. Okay, so good news, bad news. Good news, the car started. Bad news, it did not run very good. It sounded like there were multiple vacuum leaks. So we're gonna try to maybe look that, or also maybe the jets need to be adjusted. So I pulled those out, the idle jet screws, pulled those out a quarter turn. But the car started, which is fantastic. It did not run great. Again, this here goes into the old airbox. So that's not a closed off, so I'm not really sure about that one. But let's see if we can start this thing again and see if anything runs better. I opened the idle screw mixture a little bit more because it sounded like it was running very lean. So let's see if we can get this going up. So the good news is I didn't have to give this thing much gas for it to start. It started up pretty easily, so that's a good sign. So let's see what we got here. still. All right, so it's still running too lean. Okay, so I'm gonna have to figure out where our issue is. So you have, this is the choke throttle, and then this is the manual throttle. So everything else is where it should have been. You know, I'm wondering, since this is a electric throttle, if that might be our issue. I wonder if I can screw that throttle in a little bit more and see if that does anything. Now, I don't know that the jets are properly seated. Again, there's two jet screws here, so maybe I need some more research to figure out how far I need to open these up. That could be one of the problems, but let's keep trying. All right, it's a few days later, and I've since been to Collins Brothers, which is conveniently located about 20 minutes from my house. If you guys don't know Collins Brothers, it's one of the best Jeep parts, Jeep restorers in the country. So I went there to get a few parts to work on this vacuum system, because I think that is what's causing the carb and the engine rather to not really run very well. And in the process, we started talking about the valve cover gasket and the valve cover. And when I mentioned that I had a plastic cover, the guy said, you know, we sell plastic covers, but we never put them on trucks because they leak. They're just gonna be a problem. They warp. He's like, forget it. And I said, so I should probably get an aluminum cover. He said, exactly. So they just sold me this brand new aluminum cover, which is super nice. Looks awesome as well. Cork gasket. So really what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a couple steps backwards so we can take a few steps forward. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the old valve cover and valve cover gasket off, put this new one on, which again, I've already done. I put a new gasket on not long ago. We're gonna put that on, then we're gonna start routing the vacuum lines. And what this is Kevin at Collins Brothers. Call this guy if you ever need any help. He said, hey, you need like 4 lines, that's it, to get this thing vacuum running properly. So first things first, let's go ahead and get this old valve cover off, put the new one on, and then we'll start routing some vacuum lines and see if we can get this thing running. All right, we got our valve cover off. So you can see this is the gasket I put on, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, which, you know, I guess did okay. You can see a lot of wetness down here, a lot of oil everywhere. And I don't know if that's from the gasket necessarily or just the way this thing is built, but let's go ahead and take this thing. Ooh, that's nice and satisfying. Let's get this thing off. Come around the side here, pull this guy off. All right, here's our old cover, which is not in bad shape really, but basically what the guy says, these plastic ones are trash and they're warp and they leak. He's like, it's fine for now, but it's gonna be a problem, so you might as well fix it, the aluminum one. So let's get this thing prepped, get it back on. All right, so that took way longer than expected, which is pretty much par for the course for anything that I do. But we've got our new valve cover and gasket on. The bolts on this side are mostly 5/16, which some were supplied with the kit, but I used some from the previous valve cover. I had to actually, this mount's different than the plastic one. The plastic one, they had these weird, let's see if I can find it. Here we go. It had these like umbrella type deals that fit on these studs, and it would just sort of sit on the corner of the edge of the valve cover and hold it down. Didn't seal it very good. So we actually tapped 2 5/16 holes here for 1/4 inch screws, bolts, hex bolts, put those in. So yes, everything's looking pretty good. So now the trick is to wire up the vacuum line. Now, when I talked to the guys at Collins Brothers, they said, hey, this is actually pretty easy. You only need a few different hoses. So here's the list of hoses according to Collins Brothers that I wrote down in my notes. All right, so you need, let's take a look. From the carburetor here to the PCV, which we've got, from the distributor, which goes in here, down here, to the front left of the carb, which goes here, okay? The carb bowl, which is here, it tees off. This is gonna go to the canister, which is down there. And then from the gas tank to the canister, which we kind of already have. That's it. That's all you need on the vacuum to get this thing running right. The rest is nonsense just for smog, which doesn't matter here in Texas. So I'm gonna hit these up. This should take no more than 5 minutes, I hope. Of course, it'll probably take 30. And then let's try to start it. Okay, so everything's put together. We've got a vacuum line here from the distributor, which is going to the front part of the carb over here. Let's come over here. We have the PCV valve going to the back of the carb here. We have the float bowl going down to the canister down here. The middle one here with this green, that's the tank. That's the fuel tank that's vented. So those are hooked up. And I think that's it. We have, this is the back here is capped off. This one over here is capped off. And I think that's it. One thing I forgot to mention is this back here, usually you might put some sort of vent here, like a small like vent about this size, K&A air filter vent. What Kevin told me at Collins Brothers is that this is just a vent, but also the oil will drip out of here. So if you did put an air filter here, it would just gum it up and be disgusting. So his suggestion was take a piece of hose 3 feet, run it down here and zip tie it to the frame, and just any oil that collects in here just leaks out. Now this is the old hose that was into the air filter. I think it's a 3/4 size, which I don't have. So I'm gonna leave it for now, and then I can always go get some more and try to run that down to the frame. But yeah, so let's give this thing a chance to start. Again, it's been a few days since we started. So let's see if we can get some gas in there. I'm actually gonna open up this choke here to see if that helps, but let's give this thing a shot. Oh my God. Well, let's see. Make sure we get everything. Holy shit! That is amazing, folks. Listen to that. Let's see where the idle is. It's right about 600. Let's give it some gas. Get some smoke. All right. Well, clearly we've got to tune this carb up a little bit, but did you guys hear it run there for a second? I mean, 600 RPMs, and it was quiet as a mouse, started right up. That is excellent. So what we've done here is, these are the idle screws right here. I've seated these, then backed them out about 2 turns, and now I need to mess with that. So that's probably my next step, is to see what that does, and then also have to mess with the idle screw probably in the back and see how that does. So that's a pretty good result, folks. I think. I don't know. We're not driving it yet. It's not under load, but for now, I think the way it looks, the vacuum seems to be working for sure. So I'm gonna keep messing with it. But again, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any comments. I'll catch you next time.